How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the ninth episode of Critically Incorrect. Finally, it seems like the dryness has stopped. We're only on the second week of January, and this week has been filled with gaming news. And not only that, but we have the return of Dan McCants this week on the episode. A lot of you will remember him from Gaming at its Core, and I guess I'll just let him introduce himself.
My name's Dan, obviously otherwise known as Mule Kit Media. Used to be on Gaming at its Core back in the good old days. God, that feels like forever now, actually. I'm starting to get proper nostalgia. But, that's me, pretty much. I just upload whenever I feel like it, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely thinking, we're on our ninth episode, we're like, I think it's time, to innovate a bit and at least get some new opinions on the show. And we figured we'd start off with Dan since he's such a, iconic. I mean, out of our group of members, gaming. I
wouldn't say iconic. I wouldn't be going that.
I mean, come on, like half the rants that happened during those podcasts. Definitely.
That is true. Yeah. It's been too professional the last 8 episodes. I need to be here now just to crank it up a little bit.
Exactly. And of course, as always, we have Charlie and Justin. If you both wanted to say hi real quick.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
And so we haven't talked to Dan in months. At least I haven't spoken to Dan, in a call in months. So I first want to know what he's been playing, like in terms of gaming, like what's you been up to since last time we spoke.
I'm not sure you guys want to know.
Is it FIFA Ultimate Team? FIFA Ultimate Team?
Alright, so the weird thing is that I brought FIFA this year, but to be honest with you, I've barely touched it. At all.
Oh really?
That's
I'm just PSN online. Whenever I hop on. But
well, the thing was that I played it for first month, went at it solid, played about a month of it, and then around about I want to say the time when PS5 launched, and I was in the whole fiasco of trying to get one, couldn't get one, tried Black Friday, still didn't get one. By that point, I just kind of thought to myself, well, I'm going to be stuck with my PS4 for ages. I might as well try and beat all the games that I've still not beat on my PS4. So I brought Cold War, beat that within, I think, 2 days. Still currently going through God of War at the moment, except I lost the disc last week.
Oh my God.
So, but thankfully, I had my £10 on PlayStation Store that they gave to us. I think it was, to celebrate 10 years of... I can't remember what it was, but I had £10 left on there, and so it was 15 quid on the store, so I just brought it on digital for a tenner. So I got that. I'm almost at the end of God of War. Just playing a lot of old games. To be honest with you, I've lost track of half of them because I've just played that many within the last 4 months. But yeah, I've had a few FIFA sessions in between then, but it's just been mainly that I've been playing. And I'm also currently in my replay of The Last of Us Part 2, which is hella stressful because I forgot how fucking long that game is.
Yeah,
pretty long.
Definitely over took me 22 hours to beat Last of Us Part 2.
I think it took me 28 because I'm just one of those people where I took my time completely.
God damn!
And then
holy shit!
And then because I'm just one of those where it's like I will literally just wander around the entire map, not having a clue what to do, like an idiot.
There's me who beats it in 18 hours.
Yeah. Exactly. This man Justin beat it so quick. I was like,
doing a
and within a day, mind you, in a day.
First playthrough. Yeah,
that was fun. Iconic. I remember watching Justin stream of that in the summer. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Justin, Charlie, any of you want to speak about what you've been playing?
Sure. It's been pretty chill week for me just because I went back to school this week, so I've been a bit busy with that, but still playing a bit here and there. A bit more Sackboy, finished the 3rd world, onto the 4th one, about halfway through that. So I'm slowly making progress there. It's hard because I'm playing it co-op, right? So I have to find a time that's good with me and my friend to play it. So can't play it every day, obviously, and when we do, it's only for an hour or so. But yeah, it's fine. It's just it's a cool co-op game just to hop in every once in a while. We'll eventually make our way to the end, but yeah. I've been grinding, the good old casual game, NHL. But I finally got the platinum for that. I got the platinum, so hey, that's
hey,
bro.
This man, you guys ribbing to me about FIFA. At least I don't actually go out my way to platinum the game. This man, Justin, on the other hand.
I had to grind like 200 hours. I had to grind 200 hours for that game, man. It was like, such a pain in the ass. But like, you know what? I realized, I'm like, I only have like 5 trophies left. I might as well go for the rest. So I grinded the rest of it, got the platinum. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this game. I'm moving on. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go back to Cyberpunk this week, which is good because I have been I've been kind of like waiting for them to also like release like like updates patches, just so they can patches to clean up the bugs and stuff. So that that was like basically kind of like one of the reasons why I wasn't playing it. But yeah, I'm gonna be going back to that this week, so that's good. And yeah, other than that, just a bit of Call of Duty still. I think I'm almost Prestige 3, so yeah, I don't know, it's just chill fun every once in a while, so yeah, it's pretty
right on. How about you, Charlie?
To be honest, I haven't played like a ton more than I did when we last spoke. It's mainly been multiplayer stuff, so just more like Battlefront 2 I've been playing quite a bit of, as well as a lot of League. Like I've been playing that with mates a lot. And I started diving back into Immortals because I realized that there's like the DLC coming out, and I was like, I should probably just play a ton of that game, even though I'm not getting the DLC anytime soon. So I've been diving back into that, which is really good. And also Scott Pilgrim re-released today, so I've been playing that a little bit, which is a great like beat 'em up game from the PS3 generation, which I really liked. So I'm glad they've brought that back. But other than that, like not a ton really. That has mainly been it. It's just been a ton of multiplayer stuff with friends, really.
Right on. That's cool. This past week, I've actually been able to play a decent amount. Still not as much as I want to, just because I am taking an online winter class right now, so I've kind of had to focus on that a bit, during the weekends at least. That being said, I finally did finish Cyberpunk. Yeah, Charlie was right. I was really close near the end. I was like only a few missions away. So like literally like the past 10 hours, I've just been doing side stuff, right? I didn't realize I was like on the actual mission where it gives you the prompt like, oh, if you start this up, you're going to be, finishing the game. Did that, got my first playthrough done with, and really enjoyed it. Yeah, I definitely think it's still like in the top 3 of my favorite 2020 games. It constantly changes for different reasons, but yeah, it's up there. After that, I did start 2 games. I started Disco Elysium and Divinity Original Sin 2. Probably not gonna go through Divinity much more. I'm like 4 or 5 hours in, but it's like a big RPG, so I'm probably just gonna take my time with that and inch my way forward. Disco, I started like the first 2 hours. I really like it. The dialogue is insane, and I don't know if you know the concept of like Disco Elysium. Essentially, like, I won't spoil any of it, but I'll just say like you talk to yourself essentially in different parts of your brain. So a lot of times your character doesn't like remember a lot of stuff, depending on like the stats that you have. So they use more sophisticated words than usually you'll find in gaming, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, the story is very stupid, which is hilarious. So at the same time, like whenever I'm playing that game, I feel like I'm losing brain cells and gaining brain cells at the same time. It's the weirdest experience, but nonetheless, it's really fun. So I've been playing that. I actually went back into streaming this week. I was able to finish Mirror's Edge, replayed through that. Took me about 4 to 5 hours, so that was enjoyable. And then just last night, I did start up the Pathless, which is a game I wanted to buy originally during the PS5 launch, but there's a lot of games that came out during that time. I'm actually really glad I bought it because I'm only like an hour in or so, but I'm really enjoying the game quite a bit. So I can't wait to go back for that, and hopefully I'll have beaten it by the time we do the next episode. So yeah, finally I was able to get past Cyberpunk and move on, which has been nice. And yeah, I guess we'll go into the gaming news because, as I said, there's been a lot of topics this week. I guess one that we won't really hit on too much here, but Cyberpunk did get another update yesterday. I don't want to focus on this too much just because I feel like Cyberpunk has been like in gaming news for like the last month. Essentially, it's just kind of giving an update. They came back from their winter break. They gave a new updated roadmap. Essentially, what it is for the first half of this year, they're going to be focusing on mainly bug fixing, what's already been done on the pre-existing versions, as well as include free updates in terms of free DLC. A lot of people seem to be getting confused. These probably won't be like obviously the big expansions, but just updates in general. So I believe this is going to be comparable to what they did with Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 got some free updates within the first year or so. So that will be kind of the scale it is. They did give a bit more concrete information in terms of the next generation patch that will be free or update. That's going to be currently scheduled for the second half of the year, which is what I originally thought, but apparently some people expected that in the spring, so that was further clarified. And then in terms of the actual response to the video, this has been very controversial yet again. Who could have, expected that? But essentially, they were just talking about how they take full responsibility. They didn't see the problems with the console versions. I don't know how that makes any sense because, thousands worked on, or at least hundreds to possibly 1,000 people worked on this game. They definitely knew about that, but yeah, just further kind of just owned up to their mistake and that they're going to do right by gamers going forward here. So yeah, just an update on Cyberpunk. Anyways, going into news stories this week, PlayStation uploaded a video on, I believe, during the CES timeframe earlier this week. Essentially, this was kind of actually the same situation that happened to Gran Turismo, the new Gran Turismo game coming to PS5. I believe it's 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially it's kind of the same thing that happened there. In that case, when Gran Turismo 7 got like a new trailer, in the very bottom in the fine print, they kind of gave a release window. They did the same thing exactly, but with these next few games I'll list here. So they have Ratchet & Clank under 2021, Kena under March 2021. If I remember, we were kind of talking about that last week, so that's been, confirmed for March. Pragmata for 2023, Solar Ash June for 2021, Stray and Ghostwire both for October 2021, Little Devil Inside July 2021, and Project Athia January of 2022. So that's kind of, I don't know, I found that a little weird that they kind of clarified that, but nonetheless it's more information, so I guess that's nice. So a lot of our predictions that we did last week, I'm glad we did them last week because now we kind of know when they're coming out. So yeah, Ghostwire, Stray, October 2021, pretty cool stuff there. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Jim Ryan did some PR talk as well, just saying that the PS5 is, the fastest selling console launch of all time. Yeah, I mean, you could tell based on like the gaming demand during this pandemic that would be the case, and nonetheless it has been. Did you guys have any thoughts on any of these, release dates? Anything you find surprising of the sort?
You go first, I guess.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, like, Pragmata, like, from what I was seeing on Twitter, people were saying that was originally said for 2022,
Mm-hmm.
so that's been delayed, like, a whole year, but we didn't know much about that anyway. And then the other one for me is, like, Project Athia. That sounded like it was way further off than it is, like, it's a year away.
And it really has project in its name.
Which is really surprising. Yeah, it's project. It hasn't even got a final title yet.
Yeah.
So it's surprising that that's out as soon as it is.
Yeah.
Same with Little Devil Inside. Like, I know that has been in development for a long time for PC and stuff. So the fact that is this year is pretty cool, and that it's in July is even closer. So I'm happy about that one.
Yeah, my big two takeaways were probably Stray coming out in October. So that was a game that, I mean, what we've seen so far hasn't exactly been, that revealing, but nonetheless it intrigues me. So I was kind of surprised about October. I did look back and they did say 2021, but for some reason I must have missed that. So I was kind of surprised by that. And then, as Charlie said, I was surprised by Little Devil Inside and Project Athia. But yeah, Justin, Dan, anything you want to add?
I well, I was interested that they didn't include God of War, so I'm like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
like why didn't they at least, reassure?
But they didn't
like,
have footage, right?
Yeah, it might have been a case of that.
Oh, I
They didn't
guess.
show
I
any
guess
footage.
that's true. They just showed the God of War
I mean, if they
logo.
did show footage, yeah, they just show the logo and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Is what they did. So,
Yeah, I guess that's true. They, how like the previous trailer they said like Ratchet and Clank first half and then Horizon second half, but like I don't know, they just both said 2021. I guess that doesn't really say much.
I mean, all these are always
Yeah.
like very interesting because I feel like didn't Gran Turismo wasn't I feel like that was given 2021 as well, but I could be wrong. But then later that video came out and it said first half of 2021. So these things constantly change. I feel like depending on the window. So, don't read too much into them. But at the same time, they are official sources, so they are confirmed.
I'm excited for Kenna in March.
Yeah, Kenna is cool.
March is gonna be so.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of March, Returnal also got a new gameplay video.
4 big games coming out that month. At least I'm interested in.
Returnal showed off some new gameplay elements in a video uploaded, and they also had like a corresponding blog post with that video. I definitely recommend watching it if you're interested in Returnal. Kind of goes over like the basic gameplay loop as well as like the items and gadgets that you'll come across. I watched through it. It got me more excited for this game. I still feel like Returnal is a bit too expensive for the game that it is. I don't want to judge it too much, but yeah, I'll wait till the game comes out, obviously, but I feel like a lot of people aren't giving Returnal its fair share because of its, big price point, because it is, as expensive as Demon's Souls was. It's going to be, at least if you live in the States here, full $70. So it's a next generation title for sure. That game comes out in, a little over 2 months. So I'm really excited for that. So yeah, I definitely recommend watching that. Did any of you guys watch the Returnal gameplay video that came out?
No. I took a quick look at it, but
I had a bit of a look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Justin wanted to say something.
I mean, it looks cool. It just looked like, very action based, or like roguelike, and you're just like all different gadgets and stuff. I don't know. It looked cool. It looked, typical Housemarque, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But with a narrative, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying, Charlie? Anything?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it looks interesting. I'm not sure about the price. Like, I wasn't when that started getting announced anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because of the pricing system's broken over in the UK anyway. Like, they bumped up prices here by like £20, which is absolutely insane. So like so it's £70 here, and obviously $70 for you. So we're actually paying more than you are, which I think is
the
dumb.
price over here is fucked, because it's like I walk into stores and it's like you see the prices for the PS5 games. It's like I don't know who's doing the maths behind this, but someone has clearly messed up. Because like it's actually crazy, and this is going for someone that don't even own a PS5. So that's
but like I do really want to get it. But I am contemplating waiting for a bit. I'm kind of interested to see how it will review and stuff, and whether it will actually be worth that amount of money. Especially because they've never done a full price game before, so it's kind of a big jump up from their last projects. But I'm also hoping that maybe pre-orders aren't going to be that high for the game, so that Sony, potentially closer to the date, rethink it a little bit. Kind of like what happened with Destruction at launch. Like, nobody was pre-ordering that game, so they were like, hey, we need to just make this free for PS Plus.
Exactly.
So, hopefully it'll get a bit of a price drop. But
Speaking of Destruction, that game does come out next month. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting. Hopefully that's good. As Charlie said, I mean, I will pick it up just because I really loved, the previous work, and I'm looking forward to, playing Returnal. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of, roguelites, but they at least have confirmed in that gameplay video that there's going to be a loop that, kind of progresses and changes the way that the game is played. So, like, you'll have some sort of progression, even though it is a traditional roguelike where you go on a run, die, and then lose all your stuff. So that'll be interesting, as well as just the fact that it is, you don't really see this kind of genre get a AAA kind of title for it. I can't remember a AAA title that was a roguelike before. I mean, this maybe AAA is kind of putting it weirdly because, it doesn't seem like it's a scale of like a normal kind of AAA game, but yeah, it definitely does feel like it's at least the most, polished, or at least biggest budget, roguelike that we've seen so far. So it'll be interesting. I'm definitely gonna, pick it up because I'm looking forward to it and want to have an opinion on the game when we eventually do an episode around that time. But yeah. Dan, what about you? Have you been interested in? I mean, you don't have a PS5 yet. Are you still on the on the hunt for one right now, or no?
Man, I've been on the hunt for God knows how long, because at this point I think I've just kind of accepted the fact it's probably not going to happen until spring.
You need a PS5 so you can actually get my the benefits of game sharing.
Oh yeah, because you guys game
share. I know, man.
Right now, I'm literally just leeching off of Dan, and he doesn't even have a PS5.
Exactly, this man Justin here. I tell you,
it's like
breaks my
I'm
heart
like I
every
thought he was
time.
gonna go in for Christmas. I'm like, yo, do you want to continue our game sharing? He's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, I add his account to my PS5. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty next gen, right? And then he's just like sitting there on his PS4. Yeah.
The saddest thing is, it's like I've had about 6 other occasions where I've literally had a PS5 in my basket, and I've just been like, either my internet connection has messed up on me, which actually happened one time, and prevented me from getting my PS5, or like the website's just gone kaput. So it's just not going to happen. I've just accepted it at this point. And in terms of the games mentioned, I mean, well, a lot of them I'm definitely intrigued about them, but obviously with me of still being on PS4, it's kind of the question of whether I wait and get them on the PS5 or if I just bite the bullet.
I mean, like,
and
the
get
thing
them
is,
now. It's,
like, the thing is, I don't know. I mean, you're definitely gonna be missing out a bit, but at the same time, there are some, like, at least for this year, there's like, if you're just talking about the PlayStation exclusives, at least there's like Horizon coming out.
Yeah, there's Horizon. We don't know how big of a jump there will be. If it's anything like Miles, it won't be that big.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
we'll just have to wait and see. I think the only thing that Justin's bothered about at this moment is if I'm still going to buy games for him, which, don't worry, I will. I'll still be buying games for Justin. He can thank me later when I'm sat in my chair with my PS5 saying, yo, Justin, buy me this, buy me that.
Yeah. I felt bad. I'm like, yo, I'll buy PS Plus this year for him. And then he's like, oh, I bought it already from the Black Friday sale.
The worst thing is when he told me, oh, but I'm not doing game share on my PS4, and I was literally this close to beating Ghost of Tsushima. And then all of a sudden, nope, you can't go onto it. Got the beautiful lock right next to the start section on my game. I'm like, now, Justin.
My bad.
Why?
I gave
Why'd
my
you gotta
PS4
do this
to
to
my
me?
friend. I gave my PS4 to my friend.
So now you can't finish Ghost.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was literally like 2 hours off beating it, and I was like,
shit.
Oh well, some things just aren't meant to be. But
just trying to do a Justin roast.
You know what? Yo, when you get your PS5, you can just add it there and beat it in 60 frames. In 60 frames, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop teasing me. I haven't got it yet, Justin. Calm down.
Anyways, there's been quite a bit of gaming news, as I said. That was just the start of it. Lucasfilm Games have been busy. Pretty much as of 2023, their license, of Star Wars titles with EA is going to be broken. So a lot of, other developers and publishers will be able to, take the Star Wars IP. And we've already seen things start this week. They did announce 2 games this week. They announced that Machine Games is working with them on a Indiana Jones title. Obviously Machine Games being under Bethesda, we don't know the platform specifically yet. I think that's a big question mark, as well as, what Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield will be. Ultimately, we can only guess that it'll be on Xbox, obviously, and, PC via Game Pass, but, whether it comes to PlayStation is still up in the air. Regardless, Machine Games is working on an Indiana Jones game, which I find really exciting. Todd Howard is the executive producer. We don't know how much of an involvement he will be, because they kind of already announced that that won't affect, his, babies with Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield. So I guess, with Indiana Jones, did you guys have anything you want to say? I know it's been pretty excitement, across the board on Twitter at least, because... if you look at it, Uncharted was a game that's now turning into a movie, and now Indiana Jones, which is the movie, is turning into a game. So we're kind of going full circle, I guess, now.
Yep.
Like not massive Machine Games, like they're basically only known for first-person shooters for Wolfenstein. So it kind of makes me think. I mean, the same thing happened with Respawn when they did Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep.
Like they had only done first-person shooters, so I don't really know how this will turn out. I assume it will be an Uncharted style Indiana Jones game. Like that's what you would imagine it's going to be like. But it's just weird because like the only connection between the two is like Nazis. So like, I don't know. Like
that's a starting point. It's a starting point.
Yeah, between Wolfenstein and Indiana Jones. So I get the connection, I guess. But I am interested to see what they do with it, because I'm a big fan of both Wolfenstein and Indiana Jones. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, same for me. Like growing up, watched the Indiana Jones movies quite a bit. I would watch those with my parents. So yeah, I'm definitely like, a fan of Indiana Jones, and plus Uncharted, obviously inspired by Indiana Jones. As Charlie said, like, what are they? Machine Games, obviously they only made, like, they're primarily known for like the first person shooters. So That'll be quite interesting to see. At the same time, though, like I feel like it's definitely possible that they could definitely take on something like this because we've seen it with Respawn, as Charlie mentioned as well. Yeah, I don't know. Like we've only seen, it was just that like teaser, right? But I don't know. It's just cool seeing that. Like it really reminded me of, how like the opening with Uncharted 3 where like
I was about to say that,
and stuff.
Yeah,
and then I was just like, oh shit, this is kind of sick, like, Uncharted's done obviously, right? And I don't know if there's gonna be any more Tomb Raider games, at least for a while. But yeah, I just I love those types of games with the adventure. There's gonna obviously be like set pieces and stuff. I assume like with an Indiana Jones type of game, it's gonna be like a third person type of game. It's not gonna. I doubt it's gonna be like first person. That would just be weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Like it's gonna be a while. Like they just announced it, but it's not gonna come out anytime soon. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't have my hopes aren't super high right now. Like I'm not gonna be super hyped or anything like that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested, and it's gonna be on my radar.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I've watched the movies as a kid, as Justin. Looking forward to seeing what they do with the IP, and yeah, I mean, I can only imagine it's going to focus on pretty much the same kind of pillars that Uncharted, obviously was inspired by Indiana Jones. So we'll see puzzles, I'm sure. We'll see combat, traversal. Yeah, as you said, like both Uncharted and Tomb Raider are kind of done at the moment. I mean, Uncharted maybe less so if those rumors are correct. But still, it's just another good direction, I suppose. And also a collaboration that I did not see coming. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, like, I was reading how, like obviously, like, in the movies, like, Indiana Jones doesn't go out and, like, like, into insane gunfights where he takes down, like, 100 guys, right? So, like, and he's more, like, he has his whip and stuff, and he has, like, he uses, I guess, like, stealth more, a little bit, as well as, or he does fight guys, but...
I think it's just less gun.
I think it'll be more like Shadow the Tomb Raider, where it focuses more on like puzzles and exploration.
Right.
He didn't do like crazy exploration, right? Like I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've seen the movies, but he didn't do anything massive like like Nathan Drake, right? Where he's like climbing some massive things. So
it's just more like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting thing to note is like all the past Indiana Jones games have all been very puzzle orientated, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route they go. Like I think the last kind of big Indiana Jones game that was at least planned was the one for 360 and PS3, Staff of Kings, which was very much like a hand-to-hand like combat, kind of Uncharted style, to be honest. It was in development around the same time. Before being cancelled, but it was still very much like not a third-person game. It was a fixed camera, and you were in an area doing like a puzzle.
Was that the one that was on the Wii? I feel like I played that.
Yeah, it got cancelled for 360 and PS3, and then they ended up making it like a PS2 and Wii game.
Okay.
So it got toned down a lot from the original vision. But that was like the last main game, other than the Lego games. So yeah.
That'd be interesting. Fixed camera.
I was gonna say, it could be something where it's like a Drake's Fortune kind of release, where it's a little more simple, but grounded. I don't know. Obviously, I mean, Indiana Jones is also globe-trotting to a certain extent. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I definitely kind of want to rewatch the movies now that there's a game coming, so that'll be exciting. Dan, did you say your piece yet?
Yeah. Really excited for it. It's a interesting combination, with the obviously Indiana Jones. Really enjoy it. I've always enjoyed the films as a kid. I actually started rewatching them at the start of the year, so it's really fresh in my memory. So I've got that going for it. And then there's just with Machine Games doing it as well. Again, as Charlie said, with them being really only known for first-person games, similar to what Respawn did before they did Fallen Order. It'll be interesting to see how they transition out of that. Hopefully, if it's anything like they did with Last Jedi. Well, Fallen Order for me, I think it'll be good, but we'll just have to see how it goes. And I'm curious to see like what maybe elements it might borrow from Uncharted, maybe from Tomb Raider as well. Just kind of that comparison, because those two franchise, well, not really two, but three, they've always been kind of viewed as intertwining with one another. So it'll be interesting to see what bits it borrows from those games, and maybe what in turn those games might borrow from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But at the moment, pretty excited for it, but. Obviously, I'll just more intrigued to see when we get proper stuff, like gameplay or something along those lines. But yeah, I'm interested so far.
Yeah, I'm just glad that these IPs
do you guys
are going
think?
on.
Do you guys think Harrison Ford will return?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
No. Unless they give him a big fat paycheck.
Aren't they
he's
working
not
on a new
stepping
Indiana
anywhere near
Jones
that.
film? I feel like that was also.
Yeah.
They are, but the man's going to be pushing
Isn't he,
18
like-
in a
yeah,
wheelchair
he's,
by
like,
the time
so
they film
old.
that thing. So don't worry.
I
He
think
won't be doing it.
people have worked out that this game is going to be set in between like the first and third films.
Okay.
So it's like right bang in the middle of the original trilogy. So it's going to be younger Indiana Jones. So
Yeah.
it probably won't be.
I was
won't
also
be
going to say, if
Harrison.
you want to create a series of this, like, you don't really want to rely on Harrison Ford, because I feel like
Yeah.
that movie probably will be the last one he does. Or at least I hope
crazy.
so.
I think
They're
that's the
still doing
idea.
another
I think
movie.
it's meant to be the final one.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good
Which
then.
I'm glad, because we
guy's
don't
like-
talk about.
we
the
don't
last
want
one.
to
Yeah,
end
I
off
can
like Star
barely
Wars.
walk.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, speaking of Lucasfilm games, they also announced, another project in terms of now the Star Wars IP. Ubisoft and Massive is going to be working on an open world Star Wars game. Just like Indiana Jones, this is very early in production, so they kind of just announced that this is kind of developing now. Ubisoft Massive, of course, known for the work on The Division. They also were already announced to be working on a different big IP, the Avatar series, so that was also a big question that people had. Nonetheless, Ubisoft came out and confirmed that that's also still in the works, so I guess they're just going to be very busy for the next few years here. But yeah, this one's also very exciting. I think, didn't Jason Schreier tease that this could have been something based on like a bounty hunter?
Yeah.
Or was that? Yeah,
He was talking about a bounty hunter game. Whether he meant this
This
Ubisoft game,
Mm-hmm.
who knows?
Yeah, so I know the only official confirmed details are that it's an open world Star Wars game. So
Yeah.
that's exciting nonetheless. Any ideas of what this possibly could be? I mean, it's very vague, and there's there's a lot of generations of Star Wars, right? So
Yeah. I think the bounty hunter aspect to it could definitely work, as in like going to, if it's open world, going to the different worlds and galaxies, and potentially hunting down other people across this entire open world. I think that dynamic would definitely work to it. I think it would probably lend itself more to a Star Wars open world game. But like I say, at the moment we don't really know anything, so it could go either way.
I wonder if they're looking at this as like a games as a service. I really hope not. But
If they do,
I don't think that's
God
what they.
Did they?
That's not. I mean, they were kind of saying in their like blog post on Ubisoft and Star Wars that this is a very narrative-driven
Okay, good.
story thing, and they want it to be a memorable story, but it's also the beginning of a partnership. So whether that means that it's going to be a live service thing or it's going to have sequels, whatever they want to do.
So that just
I
tells me
don't
it's
know
going
what-
to be a big open world game, but single player.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
would
exciting.
imagine it's going to be single player, but then also Division is a big multiplayer game, so
That's true. Yeah.
I think my mind immediately jumped when I heard about it, though, was like it's being done on the Snowdrop engine, which is the engine used for Division, which is primarily designed for big urban environments. So my mind immediately went, hey, is this going to be a reboot of 1313? Because I think basically all of the Star Wars fandom has wanted 1313 since that game got shown off. And that was meant to be set in like the underbelly of Coruscant, which is like one of the big capitals in Star Wars, and it's all these massive structures like a big city. So my mind immediately jumped to the idea that this is going to be a big open world game on Coruscant, because it is a similar kind of layout to something like New York or DC. So I'm hoping that's the direction they're going in, but it honestly, like, it could be anything.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be in the early stages. This reminds me of like when they announced the Avengers project, which hopefully it's not like that. But
God
Yeah.
help it.
Yeah.
Yep. So both of these games are definitely going to be in their early stages at the moment. But yeah, they both at least have very high potential in my eyes. So I hope they deliver. And that's exciting that at least these IPs are being given to more developers. So yeah, anyone have any final thoughts before we move on?
I was going to say as well, they did kind of say with all these announcements that there's going to be a lot more this year. So my mind kind of is thinking that Lucasfilm are basically approaching as many publishers as possible to try and get their IPs in development, because once that deal ends in 2023, they will want as many developers working on Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all their IPs.
Yeah.
So I feel like this announcement was to basically go, hey, we're working with Ubisoft, but we're also open to other pitches. because we need games out as soon as this deal ends, because otherwise we're wasting money here. Like, because it's Disney, they're gonna want to make money as soon as they get out of that Ubisoft, out of that EA deal.
Exactly.
So I definitely see this game being like a 2023 like Christmas game. Like, I feel like that's when they'll be targeting.
That sounds like a smart day. Yeah, maybe a bit later, but I definitely could see that. Yeah,
as well, I do know there were people saying on Twitter that like this deal seems to have happened because of the Avatar game, because obviously Avatar is owned by Disney, so there was a lot of rumors that these talks started because of the Avatar game and maybe getting the Star Wars license from that. So it sounds like this has been in the works for a while. How far it is in development, I would imagine it's not much more than pre-production, but it's worth noting.
Yeah, with the Star Wars IP being open now, it's like causing me to think like which of my favorite developers I would want them working on like a Star Wars game. There's definitely a lot of potential. Yeah, just happy that the IP is finally, going away from EA, so more developers and publishers can have a crack at it. Because I think with The Mandalorian, it's shown like a lot of people, like, even though the last few years of Star Wars have been, quite shit, there's definitely really big potential with this IP in this world. So yeah, it's exciting. Anyways, I guess we got a lot of the happy news out of the way. There's still another happy, story coming down later, but sadly this week did show off a lot of delays. 2 delays, in fact. So I guess I'll start with Hogwarts Legacy. We were actually just talking about this game pretty recently. Essentially, they went onto Twitter to say, "We'd like to thank fans from around the world on the tremendous reaction to the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy from our Portkey Games label. Creating the best possible experience for all the wizarding world and gaming fans is paramount to us, so we're going to give the game the time it needs. Hogwarts Legacy will be released in 2022. I find this funny because we were literally talking about this game just a few podcasts ago, maybe a week or two ago.
Was it last week? I thought it was last week, wasn't it?
No, it was the week where we went over. It was last.
Wasn't
it might have been last week.
State of Games?
Yeah, well, we're previewing.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was the one where we previewed 2021. I think both you and Charlie mentioned that this game looked really early, and didn't look like it progressed much from the initial leak, trailer that we got, in 2018. 2022, not too surprising, but yeah, definitely makes me wonder. I don't hope it's not like a fall 2022, but we'll see.
I will say, I did say when we did our predictions that, like, if they hadn't said 2021, I would have guessed 2022.
Yeah.
So, just putting it out there.
The game seems really ambitious. Like, it's an RPG, so I definitely want them to, give it, its due time. So that's, comforting. I'm sure there'll be other games that will fill its spot later this year. What about Dan? Dan, we haven't talked to you about Hogwarts Legacy yet.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because I'm a really big Harry Potter fan, and as soon as the game got announced, I just dug it straight away. Just the whole vibe that they're going for it, and the fact that obviously J.K. Rowling, the whole controversy around that, and her not being as involved with it. I was really excited for this, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really that surprised that it got delayed, and especially because I want this to really do the franchise just a lot of justice in terms of as a game. I kind of expected it to get delayed, but in the end of the day, I'm not too bothered about it because hopefully it will all turn out for the better. Just because I love the film, so it'd just be even nicer just as a fan, just to get a really good game for it.
It's kind of like a dream game. I feel like a lot of people have been wanting like an open world Hogwarts game like that. I remember playing like the early PS2 Harry Potter games and liking it a lot, and just we haven't had those kind of we used to get a lot of games like those back on the PS2. Like we had a ton of licensed games back in the day. But you kind of seen them dwindle as we've gone on to like the PS4 generation. Good to see, it getting its due time. So at least they're recognizing that and not forcing it out later this year. So yeah, maybe they saw the Cyberpunk situation. We're like, we're not gonna even chance that shit. So
right, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So exciting.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed, obviously, because I thought we were getting it this year.
Yeah,
right? But
it's disappointing.
And
it's not ready yet.
I said 2 weeks ago, I'm like, when we were talking about games we're looking forward to this year, I talked about that game. So, but yeah, like at the end of the day, a delay is a delay. It's obviously meant to improve the game, so it'll come when it comes, or it'll come when it's ready. And yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for it, obviously, but I hope it doesn't. Yeah, as you said, I hope it doesn't get delayed until fall of 2022.
I mean, we'd just rather the game to be good than rushed out.
That's so long away, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, hopefully, I mean, as Miyamoto once said, a delayed game is eventually good. Well, a bad game is forever bad. So at least they're recognizing that, because it's always shitty when the games get rushed out, because it's like all these years of work, and like if you just took an extra year, they could all be worth it. But if you just rush that like last year and plump it out, then it can kind of just sour the whole entire project in a way. So yeah, at least it was an early delay. I didn't expect it this early, so it looks like they're at least looking ahead. So yeah. Anyways, that was just one of 2 delays this week. Riders Republic was also delayed. I found this funny because I was actually talking to my little brother, I think yesterday, and I was like, he was literally talking to me how he's looking forward to this game. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that game exists, so that's coming out next week, but we haven't really seen much of it, or next month, and we haven't really seen much of it. And then, lo and behold, I wake up this morning and it's been delayed. So this one I feel like isn't as surprising as, well, both of these weren't really that surprising, I'd say, but this one especially, given that it's out next month. And Ubisoft. We literally had a whole Ubisoft section on the podcast last week, and yeah, lo and behold, release dates aren't something they like to hit, clearly. So, Riders Republic just said later this year. In my opinion, maybe that's like September to December. I don't know. It definitely screams like fall.
When did Steep come out?
Steep came out in December. That's why I thought possibly December. But at the same time, I'm not sure if
it's
this
the same
spring
devs,
winter.
right?
Yeah, it is the same devs, I think.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, but no, I want the game to be good. Obviously, it's kind of just like Hogwarts Legacy. It's sad that it's not ready, but at the same time, you don't want it if it's not. Were you guys looking forward to this game? I know there's definitely.
I didn't even know it existed until I found out it was supposed to be released next month.
Not really, to be honest.
I was just saying, because I forgot the game existed.
It's whatever to me.
It was in that weird September. Mm-hmm.
Just because I liked Steep, but I wasn't a fan of the more realistic route they were trying to go down. And Riders Republic looked like it was trying to be a little bit more silly with what they were doing. They kind of did some more silly stuff in the Steep DLC and things. And I know with this they were going to do way more stuff rather than just snow. Like they had off-roading and bikes and stuff, which I really liked as a fan of Trials. So I was interested in it, but it wasn't going to be one I was buying at launch, just because it was full price, and there's a lot out at the moment. So
I mean, just a good bit of advice: if you're gonna buy any Ubisoft game, I generally recommend waiting a month, because they usually are half off a month later. I think literally all 3 of their games that released in the fall this year are already half off. At least if you can find them at the right time.
Big sales. Yeah.
Exactly. So Ubisoft's at least the biggest publisher that their games tend to go down in price really quickly. So yeah, that would have been smart. Yeah, I mean, no idea when it's coming out. I mean, I definitely think it's going to be fall at this point. Just, I don't know what Ubisoft's doing, because this is alongside Far Cry 6. Yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll move on to, a good, more, I guess, optimistic news story. Next week, we're going to finally learn some more information on Resident Evil Village. They're going to actually have a showcase. It's going to be on the 21st at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Essentially, what they've confirmed that they're going to be showing off is more information on Resident Evil Village. I can only assume that will include a release date, obviously. But they also mentioned that they're going to be doing a beta on an unannounced project. There's no idea if this is a separate project or if this is a multiplayer component for Resi Village. It could very well be the case, just like what Resident Evil 3 had, that resistance kind of component to it. Granted that wasn't well received, but hopefully this will be better. Charlie was mentioning before this, there was also some rumors about possibly a VR project going on with Resident Evil, according to recent Capcom leaks. So there might be more news than just, frankly, those 2, but those have been, at least the 2 news stories that are confirmed. As I said, it is a whole, just a franchise kind of showcase, so, anything's possible. I mean, we could even see the Resi 4 remake, although I kind of doubt that, since that is apparently, at least a year and a half away. Probably more likely 2, but, yeah, just exciting. I personally just want to see when Resi Village is coming out. Everything else is kind of extra, so... Yeah, anything else that you guys want to add on to that? Any excitement, anything of note?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about Village because I really liked 7. Not so much Resi 3 remake, but I liked the 2 remake. So I'm excited to have more of the first-person style Resi, because we've only had one game like that now. So it'll be good to see some gameplay. Hopefully get a date, but I'm also not holding my breath, just because this will be the first time we see actual gameplay, and I don't know if they're gonna do a date. They might give us a window.
There's been sprinkles of gameplay. I mean, I feel like, the way I see it, we saw it back at the initial PS5 event, and then we saw it yet again in September. I would expect there to be a date if it's coming out, as those leaks were kind of hinting at a first, half of the year release. I'd be very surprised if we don't get a date, but yeah, it's possible that they just update us with gameplay.
I'm holding my breath, because on one hand I'm like, a date, this seems like the most likely place for a date, but at the same time I could easily see Capcom just announcing it randomly on Twitter. So like,
yeah, that's true.
I'm honestly wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a date. But yeah, I think it's interesting. The show, it's called the Resident Evil Showcase, so I don't think it's just Village.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Resi 4 VR thing that was rumored, which is also meant to be around the same time as Resi Village. Also, they wrapped filming on the Resident Evil film reboot like last month, so I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe mention the film and just go, hey, it's coming out in September. Here's a picture of some of the cast, because they haven't shown anything for that film yet. Yeah.
Yeah, exciting. I mean, a week away. As I said, I'm just wanting to see everything about Village. Hopefully a release date, and then everything else is extra. But yeah, there's definitely good potential for some stuff. Just keep your expectations accordingly, because this is the first time they've ever done something like this. So it's not like we have, expectations given the past, because we've never had something like this. So we'll see what it brings. And yeah, I also want to note that there are beta signups for, what they do announce next week. So if you do want to play it, it's going to be going down, I believe, on like the 27th, 28th, and 29th. They already have. Yeah, they're going to have signups already available. So make sure to go do that if you want to be included. So yeah. That being said, our final news story, probably should have mentioned this in the beginning because it isn't exactly anything big, but Cold War is going to be getting a free zombies map on the February the 4th. So if you're into Cold War, I know Justin's been playing that. Yeah, you have something to look forward to there in terms of a free zombie map coming. Anyways, on to, I guess, our topic of the show. It's more like a viewer question, but I could see us talking about this for quite a bit of time. This comes from Tyler B, Charlie's friend. He asked us, if you can get one game a sequel and one game a prequel, what games would you choose? So this is a cool twist, because I feel like a lot of times we get asked, what game sequel do you want to see? But prequel hasn't really been mentioned before, so that's a good question. I know a lot of us, as we were coming up with our own games, which by the way, we don't know what we picked yet. Yeah, we were definitely struggling on prequel. So I guess, Dan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I actually have got a prequel, which is, yeah. So my prequel option would probably be one that was heavily rumoured when the game got announced middle of last year, but then it didn't come into fruition, but it's still one I'd like to see. That'd probably be, in a way, a Far Cry 3 prequel focused on Vass. Because obviously there was the whole rumours about that leading up to when Far Cry 6 got officially unveiled. And that's something I'd really like to see. I think just mainly because of the fact that it's something that I've wanted since Far Cry 3, just because that game was just... I loved it so much, and I loved Vass, and especially because me and my mates at the time had always... Like, me and my mates back in the day when we played it, one of the things we always just thought in our heads was just like, wouldn't it be cool if we got a game that focused kind of on Vass and his descent into insanity, or maybe just anything like that, just because it'd be a nice change of pace for Far Cry, because it's not really a series that's ever really linked itself properly to any of the other installments. They've been very standalone outside of a few characters that reoccurred, but that was always one that I'd really been intrigued by, and it's the only real prequel game that I can really think of, because again, I think when we think about games that we want, we always think about sequels, we always think about continuing a story, we never really think about going back and exploring how something was. And I think for me that's probably the one that, if it were to happen, that I can think of in my mind now that I'd be excited for, it'd probably be like that Far Cry 3 sequel about Vass. In terms of sequel, look, I could just be an idiot here and just go with Batman Arkham Origins, but I mean, I've been saying that now for the past like 6 years. So I'd just be sounding
like... You said that back on gaming at its core.
Exactly. So yeah. I'd just be a broken record at this point if I said that. I mean, I'd still look forward to it, but just for the sake of consistency, I just have to turn around and say Simpsons Hit and Run. Just because, again, that was one of the games of my childhood. I've always wanted a sequel to it. It will never happen. Never happen. I know it will never happen. I'll take a remake at this point. If they remake that game, please do it. Like, especially after how crappy this year has been. If they could just turn around now and say, we're doing a remake of Simpsons Hit and Run, the pandemic will have been worth it. If we get that game, it will all have been worth it. So that'd definitely be my pick. And another one I will have to say as well, and it's one that I've never it's not really my main pick, but it's one that I've kind of been more open to since I played the game these last 4 months, and that was Order 1886 sequel. It's not my main pick, but before
wow, I was gonna say that, but I thought you were gonna roast me so hard about that, because I know you always think that game is mediocre.
The thing is that like I played it, I finally got the platinum for it, I think like within the last 4 months, so I replayed the game again, and I still don't think it's anything extraordinary, and I still don't think it's like this ultra hidden gem game that some people think it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm very kind of borderline average on it, but on this recent one, I was definitely more open to them getting a sequel to it. It's not something that I'm completely mad about, and if it never happens, you know, I wouldn't be crying about it. But I think I've definitely got more of an interest to it, based off my recent playthrough, which is weird because before then I was just like, nope, no sequel, not interested. So yeah, but my main pick would probably be Hit and Run, just for the nostalgia.
all right,
Cool. All right. I guess we'll go with Justin now.
sure, yeah. So like I was thinking about the Order. I don't think that game. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, we know they got like bought up by Facebook or whatever, right? But like, I don't know. On their career page, whatever, it still says like they're working on a AAA.
Bro, you guys keep saying that. Like,
I don't really know. I don't really know if that's gonna happen. You know, it's like, no, because it's like, I don't know. Like, they've been working on these smaller titles, right? But like at the same time, they've also been working on this.
I mean, their VR games have literally been their biggest titles. Like Lone Echo 2 is definitely.
I don't know. Like they've had that there on their page for so long.
Like one guy
because
just forgot
nobody
to
applied
update
for the
it.
job.
This
No,
man
like, they all forgot to update it, and Justin's just been like looking at that page or something.
This man just is
I mean,
still
like
living on false hope.
last year there was that rumor from Osiris Black too. So I don't know.
Like people have asked him so much, shouldn't they like just say sorry? Like we can't clarify anything or something.
It's fine. Like yeah, at the end of the day, like it's whatever.
That's weird that they haven't updated that. Because didn't they say based on existing IP? So like it literally sounds like the Order, but I doubt it.
Well,
maybe you should apply for it, Justin, and get a scoop.
Yeah, Justin, why don't you just join their team?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys aren't working on the Order. I quit.
Yeah. Anyways, the game I decided to go with. I was thinking a sequel to Alan Wake.
Good show.
Because
That's good.
yeah, I really enjoyed the first Alan Wake. I know there's the or like the Control DLC that ties in with that. I haven't played that just because I wasn't the biggest fan of Control really. I didn't like, and also like it ran like dog shit on the PS4, so that was like a big reason. I don't even think it's much better on the PS5, right? I'm pretty sure it's still like.
Well, you gotta wait for them to charge you again. Yeah. You gotta buy that new edition, remember?
Oh fuck that, bro! I'm not doing that.
And they haven't even released that yet.
Yeah, exactly. It got delayed.
That's not out. I thought that came out.
It was originally supposed to come out launch day, but then they delayed it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I just want them to make a sequel to Alan Wake because that game was super fun when I played it. You know, back in the days. It was like, I don't even know how long ago that was now. But yeah, it's quite a while back. Prequel. I kind of struggle with this pick. I actually don't like. I don't know. As Dan said, like, you know, like when we think about games, we look for sequels. We don't really think about prequels, right? So, I was thinking about like all these like post-apocalyptic games, and like they always do these time jumps, right? They don't really talk about what happens in between. So I was thinking about kind of like, you know, I was thinking about Horizon first. I was thinking about Death Stranding, even Last of Us, where I guess they talk about like what happens in between a little bit, but not really that much. So I guess maybe one of those games would be kind of cool. Like at the same time, I don't know if like it would be enough to center a whole game around, you know. But yeah, I guess maybe from one of those three games would be my pick. I don't really have one. Yeah.
No, right on. Yeah, Charlie,
I guess I'll go. Yeah. So I'll start with my prequel. I really struggled with this. Like I did not know what to do in the end. But I ended up going with kind of a weird one, which is would really like to see a prequel to the Battlefront 2 campaign. I don't know if you guys have played the campaign for Battlefront 2.
We'll see.
But basically, you play as like this member of Inferno Squad, which is like this big like stormtrooper group, which are meant to be super cool and like OP and go around killing all these rebels, and then you don't get to experience any of that in the campaign. There's been some rumors recently that they've been like recording stuff, and it's all the people from Inferno Squad. So there's a few rumors going around that maybe we'll get something like that, where you actually get to play as them in their prime, like an actual stormtrooper during the Empire, which is what I really want to see. I'd love to see like a prequel game like that, because we haven't had anything like that in a long time. Last thing I can think of is like Republic Commando, so I'd like to see that kind of like a first-person shooter like that. And then for my sequel, I went with Knack 3.
Wow, brilliant.
Mainly because I unironically love Knack 2. Like, Knack 2 is a really good game.
I can never tell if this is serious.
No, I
I'm
definitely agree.
I'm being 100% serious here. Like, Knack 2 is actually a really good game, and everyone should play it, because it's really good. Like, it's got great platforming, the combat's really fun, the level design's really good. The only thing holding it back a bit is the story. Like, I couldn't really care less about Knack himself or the little guy called.
Hey, they have a relationship between him and the kid. When they get
separated.
And
I couldn't really care less about that. And like Knack 1 is okay for what it is. Like, it's not amazing. But Knack 2, they actually went out, and they didn't even have to make a good game, but they went, and Mark Cerny was like, look, I love Knack. We gotta make a good game here. And they full on set it up for a third game, and I don't think it's ever gonna happen, because as far as I know, outside of like the UK and Japan, I don't think Knack 2 sold that well. So I don't think it'll ever happen. But I'd love to see it, because honestly, I think a Knack 3 could be really good. But it's Knack 2 is a game more people should play, because it's a really good sequel. Yeah.
I was so moved by that. I'll buy Knack 2 right now.
I was surprised.
Go on, do it.
They should make a Knack. They should make a Knack 3. Unironically, they should. On the PS5 only.
Legit.
The power of the PS5. Just how they showed off the power of the PS4.
You can have more particle
More
effects
particles.
and more little
But now they could
blocks
fly
in
in SSD speed.
He can be as big as the planet. You know, he can be massive.
Knack rift apart. Anyways, okay, so yeah, it's funny because I kind of took a similar approach to Justin when determining a prequel. I was like, the prequels that we do get, I immediately thought of like Half-Life Alyx. Like, they're often in these periods that are often described in the original game, right, or the sequel. So as Justin said, like a lot of times this is like apocalyptic games where like they jump years ahead. I was thinking, other series that I'd like to see this, and just stories I'd like to see what happened before. I kind of came to the conclusion that I don't know if I'd want like an actual game or just like a DLC expansion to clarify a few things, but I picked pretty much 2 games for this. I picked Red Dead Redemption 2. There's constantly always mentioning like the ferry at the beginning of the game and what happened down in Blackwater. I think it'd be cool if we had like a little story on that. Granted, that's not going to be like a Red Dead 3, obviously, because it's just not big enough. I mean, who knows? Maybe Red Dead 3
go up, but the games go backwards.
Yeah, who knows? Red Dead 3 is like how Dutch found these kids on the street and started a gang. Who knows? But yeah, I would like to see what happened there. They always mention it quite a bit, like it was some dramatic point, because it was a dramatic point in the gang's life that ultimately led to their demise. Spoiler alert. But anyways, yeah, prequel. That was kind of what I chose there. I was thinking that, and Last of Us. Last of Us, I was like, part 3, based on the way they ended part 2, right? Most likely it would be a sequel, obviously, because that's the way they ended the game, kind of. I was thinking, there is like a 20 years time jump. I'm sure there's a lot of stories that you could tell in the Last of Us universe itself. So I was like, thinking maybe we see, Joel and Tommy, back when they were hunters. That'd be cool to see. Ultimately, I didn't really pick a specific story here. I just like the world of The Last of Us. I feel like there's a lot of cool stories that you could tell within those 20 years, not necessarily with, these factions. As we saw with part 2, there's many different factions out in the world. There's not just one. So it'd be cool to see, other parts of, the world as they kind of showed us in part 2 that there are, other groups out there. So that'd be cool to see. I picked those 2 for prequels. In terms of sequels, this one was really easy. I thought of this within like a few seconds, honestly. It's Bloodborne 2. I just want a sequel to Bloodborne. everyone's clamoring around for Elden Ring, and yeah, I get the hype. You know, it definitely does seem exciting. But Bloodborne, just the world is so good. Just the London, Lovecraftian, everything about Bloodborne. It got me into the Souls series ultimately, and I've played so many of them ever since. So it'd be nice to get, you know, 1, a 60 FPS Bloodborne remaster, and 2, an ultimate sequel. There could be, like, there's been, like, you know, fan theories that the next one could explain the events of Bloodborne, and possibly they go in, like, a different direction, but, you know, I just want more Bloodborne in that world. So give that, please. Bloodborne 2, PS5, make it happen. I don't know why it hasn't happened. That game sold well, so yeah, it's just, I guess, a From thing or a Sony thing. I don't know. The weird thing about this one is, like, it's on Sony, right? They're the publisher, so maybe they just have approached From Software and they're just like, nah, not interested. But I don't know. Who knows? It's a big mystery. The game sold well. People want a sequel. Sequel never seems to happen, so yeah, I don't know. Especially since they finished Dark Souls, it's like, after Elden Ring, it'd be perfect to go back to Bloodborne, but I've kind of noticed that Dark Souls is the only one series that they've done that has gotten sequels. They always have, like, these side games, and arguably it's weird because the Souls games I end up enjoying the most are the side ones. They are Demon Souls, they are Sekiro, and they are, you know, Bloodborne. They're the games that never get sequels by From. So yeah, I just like Bloodborne too, and hopefully that happens, but I've kind of given up hope. And yeah, anything else? Anyone want to add any honorable mentions? Anything of the sort?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of saying Order 86 sequel. Like, I really like that game. I would like to see a sequel, but at the same time, I know it's never going to happen, so I've just kind of given up at this point.
Hey man, you never know. You never know.
I'm not on that train, Justin.
They got purchased by Facebook.
When Facebook bought Ready at Dawn, that was like the final nail in the coffin for me. Like, I was like, this ain't gonna happen now. Like, Facebook, it's just no.
You can't kill his hope, Charlie. Stop trying it. You'll never kill Justin's hope for the Order. It'll still.
I guess an honorable mention I'll include real quick is Sly. I would like a new installment of Sly, but I highly doubt it. Yeah. It's funny, I saw a meme the other week that showed, like, Ratchet and Clank gets all this attention by Sony as, like, a platformer from back in the PS, 2 days, right? But Sly Cooper and Jack have been forgotten. Jack, obviously, because Naughty Dog has changed, but Sly...
I get with Sly, though, it's because Sly 4 did not sell well at all.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand why they don't want to do a fifth one, which is a shame, because Sly 4 is actually really good.
Sly 4 is good, and they end with the cliffhanger.
Although, I don't know, like, how much you care about Sly, but, like, they've said in the past that the ending was just for DLC. Like, it wasn't for Sly 5.
Oof.
So yeah, originally they were planning to do DLC for Sly 4, where he goes to, like, Egypt and stuff. But
now it can be a full-on sequel.
Yeah,
it sucks because the developers that made that ended up actually getting acquired by Facebook as well.
Yep.
So yeah, they worked on one of the biggest games for Facebook, Oculus, Asgard's Wrath, and they got bought by Facebook. So both of the developers
just doesn't
are just
like
working on video games.
Like dreams when it comes to first-party releases.
They take all these console games.
You want all these big IPs? Yeah, we're taking them. They're not going to work on them anymore.
So that's a funny correlation. Yeah, they both got bought by Facebook. So, yeah. It's a good thing Insomniac didn't get bought by Facebook, so we could still see their games.
Facebook's
you never know. Sony might get tired with them and sell them to
Facebook. Because ultimately, if Sony didn't buy them, it could have been Facebook.
Facebook probably would have done, yeah.
Yeah, because they make VR games. Although I don't know if Ted Price would really want to focus on VR so much going forward. They like to do a lot of different stuff there. But yeah, I guess that has been it for Critically Incorrect episode 9. Yeah, it was nice to have Dan on again. I guess, Dan, if you want to real quick, mention anything that you're doing on the internet, is there anywhere they could follow you?
Yeah.
Any content?
Yeah, so obviously you can follow me on Twitter at dmacants19, and then obviously on YouTube under Mulekit Media. It's mainly just a lot of stuff, mainly film, TV, the odd games when I can be bothered to play them. Yeah, just those places. Usually you'll see me posting random shit up there, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question, Tyler B. Anyone else that's still watching, make sure to ask away, because these topics are always, I'd argue, some of the most fun on the podcast. So yeah, definitely want to see more of that, so we can get into these really cool discussions. And yeah, I appreciate it, of course, as always. Yeah, Justin and Charlie, of course, Charlie, you can find him on Charles Sorten on YouTube. We used to do YouTube, right? And then we're all on Twitter. I feel like gaming industry's all on Twitter as well. So
yeah, Twitter, Twitch, all those kind of things.
And yeah, myself, I used to do YouTube. I still want to make more videos here in the future. Online ZHD, everything's online ZHD. I have been streaming lately, so I guess I'll plug that. So yeah, that has been episode 9. We'll see you next week, I guess, for episode 10. Already on to double digits. Exciting. And yeah, take care, everyone. Peace.
See you later.
See ya.